Welcome to the Amazingly Alcohol-Free Mother and Daughter podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Jules.
And we're here to share our honest and unfiltered experience of how alcohol has impacted both of our lives and our relationship, and to show you that change is absolutely possible. Our whole lives, my mom, Jules, has always said, we can do anything because we're girls. And now we're not just saying it, we're actually living it every single freaking day. We believe in progress over perfection, and we are proof that we can do hard and often uncomfortable things. If you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, maybe I should take a break from alcohol or something just feels off, I created something just for you. It's called the 7 Days to Sparkle, Your Alcohol-Free Start. And I built this because the first 7 days can feel like the hardest, especially when you're doing it on your own without a plan or something to guide you. So I wanted to create something where you don't have to figure it out alone. This is a free 7-day experience where I'm with you each day, guiding you step by step. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to be perfect, and you do not have to commit forever. You just have to be willing to start. Each day, I'll show up in your inbox with a short video and a simple focus. I'll walk you through exactly what to do so it actually feels doable, because I know how it feels. I honestly never thought I could live a life without alcohol. It felt like part of who I was, how I relaxed, how I connected, how I celebrated, and how I did all the things in life. But when I finally took a step back, everything really started to shift. I had more energy, I felt more present in my life, and I started to trust myself again. That's what I want for you. This isn't about being perfect for 7 days. It's about building momentum and starting to feel like yourself again. You can start today or go at your own pace. I'll be there either way. Just head to amazinglyalcoholfree.com and click on the 7 Days to Sparkle, or check the link in the show notes. If something in you has been curious, this is your sign. You don't have to do this alone. Remember, you got this. Keep going. And let's dive into this episode. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to welcome our guest today, Kristen Beckett. Kristen is a sober coach. She is a mom and so many other things, and just a very inspiring human. Just love you so much, Kristen. And I'm so excited to welcome you to the podcast today. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today and to meet Jules. And I'm good. I'm good. It's February here in Wisconsin, so we are living in the ups and downs of crazy weather, but we're making it through.
I know. I've been feeling a little more just blah this month. And I was talking to my husband about it. And I was like, is it just because like January, you're like,
right?
New year, new month, like, let's go. And then you're like getting all your things done. And then February just feels like a little bit downer. I don't know. Are you feeling that over in Wisconsin?
Right?
It kind of is. I'm like, so I've been working really hard to just get myself moving and not make sure I don't get stuck in a funk this whole month. I don't know what it is about the month of February.
I don't know. I know I feel like you always just have to like brace yourself for it and embrace the suckiness of the February month and get through it. And we've got March coming up like sooner than we know. And
yes,
it'll be great.
Yes. And Jules' 70th birthday is in March 1st, Jules. We're excited.
Right. Oh my gosh, happy early birthday.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you, Kristen.
Hey. Well, thanks again for being on here and just giving us your time. I know you're a very busy, busy lady. I'm just excited to have you here because actually before we started recording, we were telling Jules about how we met. And so Kristen and I met in a group, Lighthouse Sobriety with Jen Hurst, and we did, was it 75 sober? I always say
yes. I always forget if it's sober 75 or 75 sober, but one of the two.
Yes. And we were not like in the same, because she sets you up with Marco Polo groups, which actually I do now with my group clients.
Yeah.
But we were in that group together. And then that's where for me, it really like started to stick because she has her daily habits, which I love. And so we've met through that. And then we both started supporting her in her Lighthouse Sobriety community, which I know you still do today, and running meetings. We were on that team together. We've been on retreats together too.
Yes.
Retreats, right?
Yep.
Did you go to both retreats?
Denver and Florida. Yeah.
Yes. And then we also did Lighthouse Academy, so her coaching program last year. So Kristen and I have known each other forever, I feel like.
I know. It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's crazy. We were just talking about the connections too that we made through this journey, and it's amazing what has come out of it. And I know over 3 years we've known each other, and ever since the start of our sober journey, which is crazy to go back and think about.
I know. We're sober sisters, girl. Sober sisters.
Look at us now.
Oh, look at us. Could you ever imagine that you would be doing what you're doing? And by the way, you have a huge Instagram following. Your Instagram is amazing. You do such a good job. And so did you ever imagine what do you think about when you like reflect back? What would your younger version of yourself say when you were a drinker?
Absolutely not. I could not imagine this. I started Mocktails and Marathons after we finished up that group because Jen did not have her LHS community yet. And I was like, how am I going to sustain this? Like, I don't know. Like it was really great to have the structure. And I think we both benefited a lot from that structure in the Marco Polo groups. And now I'm like, I have no idea what to do now. So I started Mocktails and Marathons as like an accountability thing for me and kind of like I was never like a write it down kind of journal person. So I was like, I'll just put it on the internet. And it started as like a faceless account. There was no way you could have paid me enough money to show my face on there and to like admit that I had a problem with drinking. And then it just got more like, I just realized that there were a lot of women who are struggling with alcohol. And I would get messages being like, oh my gosh, this really resonated with me, or I'm struggling too. And it just like, it made me realize how like not alone we are on this journey. And it feels so isolating along the way. I feel like it feels so like you're the only one dealing with drinking too much. And that's not the case at all. There are so many women struggling with this and so many men and women struggling with this and so many just different stigmas that are associated with it. So just being able to make people feel a little more normal on this journey as they try and figure it out, because it's a hard journey. It's a hard thing to figure out and it's a hard thing to navigate, and just to make people feel a little less alone, I guess, on the journey is where it all started. First, it started as accountability for me, but then it's just kind of snowballed, and it's been cool to see. It's been fun to see, and just taking it all in, I guess.
I love it, and that's how I started too, starting to be curious about my drinking or just actually realize I'm not alone by finding a sober Instagram. And so for me, without that, I don't know, because that's where I was like, oh, wow, I'm not the only one that's struggling right now. There's other women like me. Whoa. And that's really what got me to start, kind of taking the break and starting my journey, which has been so like critical for me. So just imagine, Kristen, the number of women that you have inspired and helped on this journey. That must just be such a like freaking amazing feeling. So cool.
It is great. It's like a weird thing to think about. It's a weird thing to like wrap your head around. And I think going back to like, as someone who was a drinker before, like, would this have ever been something that I imagined that I would be doing? And I would say absolutely not, because it was just like the idea of inspiring someone because I quit drinking. Like it wasn't even ever in the realm of possibility for me. And it wasn't something like, I think you see influencers and things like that online and you're like that would be cool to do, but it was just nothing that I don't know, you don't aspire to be somebody who is known because they had a problem with alcohol,
right?
And I think again it does go back to just you realize more and more how many people are having issues with this and how much it's touching other people's lives, and not just the drinkers' lives, but the the spouses of drinkers and the kids of drinkers and people who are trying to help people who may have a problem with it. And that's the cool thing to see, just kind of the ripple effect too of what it can do and where it's gone and how people can get those little wins and be inspired and whatnot along the way. And that's a cool part to see, is just the wins and I got 30 days or I'm a year sober or whatever, getting those messages and things too, to just kind of keep going.
Yeah. And you just know how hard it is too, like all of us, right? Like how hard it is to get one day in, then 2, and then 5 and 10, and then 30. And then it's like, it keeps building. And it's like the work that goes into that is not an easy thing. And I think sometimes people forget that. Like it's really freaking hard. And so just being able to just share, it just feels really good because we've been there. Right? We get it. Oh, I love it.
And normalizing the process that like, it's not an easy thing. And it's like, you've really got to work at it. And I think that's one of the things that I really try and lean into too, is like, this is hard. This is hard stuff. And it's never, for me at least, it was not like a one and done type thing. It was a years in the making type of thing. And I think it's important for people to see that you don't wake up and make the decision one day and then have no like bumps along the road or twists and turns along your route. It's hard, and it takes tries, and it takes strategy, and it takes thinking through things, and it takes like falls along the way before you get to it. And I think that's just important to normalize too, because you're making a huge change in your life if you're cutting out alcohol, and that's a big thing and it's a big deal, but it's hard to get there.
It is.
And I think we all know that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We do. Well, why don't you reverse it back and maybe share a little bit about your story?
Awesome. I was born and raised in Wisconsin. We have a huge drinking culture here. And it's just very normalized. Everything is very normalized in Wisconsin as far as drinking and it being involved in like every aspect of your life. And I grew up just like that was what my family was too. We had a pool growing up, so there was always drinking around there. We always had it at birthday parties, and it was just so normalized for me. So I felt like I was a very normal drinker growing up. I went to a big party school for college. And again, it was still just very normalized because that was the culture of what we did. So it never occurred to me that I had any sort of drinking problem just because all my friends were drinking basically the same way that I did. Then I got married and I got married to someone who didn't drink all that much when we met, but eventually he became a big drinker too, just being around my family and things like that. So it continued to work for me. And again, it wasn't an abnormal thing. Like our relationship was built on going to breweries and finding fun dive bars and wineries and things like that. And that worked for us for the time. And it was, we were young. It was before we had kids or anything like that. And that's just kind of what our relationship was and what we had. Eventually, we got married. I had my first child and I had a very difficult delivery with her as far as I had a great pregnancy, didn't have any issues with like quitting to drink. Like that wasn't even a question in my brain. Like there was no hesitation in not drinking when I was pregnant or anything like that, which I think a lot of women say that same thing. So it was a very easy pregnancy as far as drinking goes. But I ended up having a really hard delivery with her, which led to some really bad postpartum depression and I was in the hospital for a while and I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't have the language to describe what I was going through. I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I dealt with it with drinking more because drinking had always been kind of my coping mechanism to deal with life and to deal with the struggles and to deal with kind of pushing it to the side. And I was a new mom, so it felt like, okay, this is kind of like my support system right now. I don't really have time to deal with all this other stuff. So I know that drinking will help me through this. And we all know that alcohol is progressive and it keeps, building and building and building. And that was just what I kept doing. So progressively through the years, it just kept getting worse and worse. And I kept normalizing it and being okay. And it got to the point where, it would be a bottle at night, but then I would be so hungover from those bottles at night that I would start drinking in the morning and I would start putting wine in my coffee mug. And eventually that wine turned into hiding vodka in my closet and needing to drink that to be able to function and mother in the morning. And that was a terrible time in my life. But again, I was so ashamed of like what I was doing and what I needed to work through and what I needed to how I had like let myself get this far that I just didn't know what to do. And so I continued to kind of just spiral and let it continue to progress. And that led me to, I had got questions from my husband along the lines of like, okay, you feel like it feels like you're drinking a lot. He had questioned a lot of it, but I thought I was doing a very good job of hiding it until I wasn't. And until I needed more and more to kind of function throughout the day. One weekend we had gone away and we came back and I had called in sick because I was so hungover from the night before. And my thought process was always, okay, the only way that I can feel better is to drink. And like that, I was all for the hair of the dog. And I had drank too much one day and he needed to take me to the hospital because he couldn't wake me up. The blood work showed a 0.34 blood alcohol level. And that's when I think stuff started, like it registered in my brain that like I was in the hospital because I drank too much, but that still wasn't like enough for me to completely be done. At that point, I entered, I got evaluated. I went into treatment. I voluntarily, walked into a treatment facility and had them evaluate me. I did get diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. And they kind of went through the options with me. They let me know that I could, do some inpatient treatment. They let me know I could do outpatient treatment. And I was just like, logistically in my brain, I couldn't wrap my head around how I would still keep a job, still be a mom, and do this treatment thing. And so this was my first time kind of delving into this. So I chose to go a counseling route with them and do some intense counseling so that I could still be at home and that I didn't have to, take time off of work and things like that, which was like, it worked for me. I think it built some basics for me. And I did get a prescription for naltrexone at that point too. So I think that there were tools beginning to be built there kind of along the way. But I wasn't putting in the work, and I wasn't being honest about how much I was drinking or the cravings that I was having. And I just wasn't ready at that point either to be done. I knew in my heart of hearts that like I was going to drink more. And I remember walking out of the treatment facility like the first day when they were like, okay, this is what you need to do. And being like, I am just mad at myself because I couldn't figure out how to moderate and I got caught this time. And I just need to figure out how to moderate better. And then it will be okay. And then I will be able to drink like I want to. And I can just get better at hiding it. And those were the thoughts that were like going through my brain because I just wasn't quite there yet. I wasn't ready to be done. And that was about a year and a half before my last day one. So I made it like 6 weeks after being in the hospital and things like that. And I remember just going into Target, and I don't know what prompted me to drink that day, but I went and bought a bottle of vodka and I drank a bunch of it again that day, but I was able to kind of hide it. So I went weeks and months with being able to hide it and being able to drink it. And then, eventually it got to the point where people were noticing again and knew that I was drinking, and it kept progressing even worse and worse. And I know everyone says that, it is a progressive disease and you pick up right where you left off. And that was 100% the case with me. It was like I couldn't get enough of it, and I needed it to get through daily life, and I needed it to like run errands and mother and like I would need a glass of wine to vacuum my house because I just felt like I needed it that badly. And eventually it led to my last day one, the last day that I drank, which was I was signed up to run a 5K with my daughter, and I had drank the night before and I had lied about it and said that I wasn't drinking or anything like that. So I was like, yep, I'm fine. We're going to run this. We're going to do it. 10 out of 10 do not recommend running a 5K hungover, but I made it through that 5K, and my husband and my daughter went to meet some friends of theirs after the fact. And my husband looked me in the eye and he was like, I better not come home to find you drinking. And the second they left, that's exactly what I did. And I drank a bunch of wine, and it got to the point where, he was worried he had to take me to the hospital again. And I remember waking up, and he had called my parents and stuff because they didn't know what to do with me anymore. They just they were like, I don't know how to help her. And I woke up and there was just something. I woke up that day and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I am a 30-some-year-old mom. My daughter was starting to pick up on some of the things that I was doing. And I remember kind of along this journey, she was like, Mom talks funny on the weekends. And she is saying like all these weird things. That was kind of her when I was slurring my words. She was 5 when she started this, 7 when I quit drinking. But she would continue to be like, Mom talks funny at certain times, and I don't like it when she talks funny. So she was picking up on that stuff. And I woke up, I came to that day, and that was the last time that I drank. And it wasn't just like this magical, all of a sudden I'm done. Like, it was really hard to get through those first couple weekends and first couple nights. And that was on September 22nd. And then we talked about joining the group with Jen, which was in October. I had been following, sober accounts and different things like that for a while, but there happened to be a program starting, the 75-day program, that put some structure in place for me, and that put some community in place for me. And I followed that, and I followed through on the different habits that I needed to implement for myself. And I was like, I had one of those come to Jesus moments with myself to just be like, you need to figure this out. And this is not going to be good. And it wasn't cute anymore. It wasn't like, I didn't want to be that mom anymore. My daughter was not wanting to be around me anymore. For some reason, put those steps into place for myself, and it clicked, and I just kept gaining momentum, and the days added up, and I started seeing like how great life can be without alcohol. And that was exciting for me. And I never in a million years thought I would get there. I never pictured myself without having alcohol. And coming from a family that drinks a lot, like, it was just something that, like, I made fun of people all the time that didn't drink. And I was like, oh, they've got a huge problem. There's something wrong with them if they can't drink. And And now to be on the other side of this and see, how great it is and how great life can be and just how much you can achieve and do and all of these things without alcohol. It's humbling to be on that other side, and it's exciting to be on that other side, but it's was a journey. It was a long process, and I'm just grateful I made it out on the other side too.
Oh, I am too. And it's interesting. I used to be the same way. I'd be like, they're so boring. I don't want to hang out with them. Like, they're not going to be
Yeah.
drinking enough. I'm not going to waste like a Saturday going out to dinner with these people. Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with me? Now I'm
I know
just,
I feel it's terrible.
like that, but and we're very similar too, I think, in that regard, because I also like grew up in a drinking culture. And it's interesting though, you weren't under a bridge drinking, out of a brown paper bag. Like, you were a high achieving mom. You're working full time, doing all the things, but like, behind closed doors, you were doing this thing. I think a lot of people just think you have to hit rock bottom to quit drinking. Do you consider that you hit rock bottom, or how do you think about that when you had that second time where you finally realized it was time for a change?
I feel like I had moments
Yeah.
along the way that should have been rock bottom for me and that should have shook me enough to be like, what the heck are you doing? I was never, no, I have that picture in my head too of somebody living under the bridge and, drinking out of a brown paper bag. And I think so many people have that in their head. And I think that's tied so much to the stigma too. But I, I think there should have been so many things along the way that should have been my rock bottom moment. And I was just desperate to cling to alcohol because I thought it was enhancing my life in so many ways that I couldn't picture my life without it. So I don't know. The day that I stopped drinking, my last day one, I don't, that was definitely not the most hungover I've ever been. That's definitely not the most that I had ever drank. It definitely wasn't like, I didn't end up in the hospital like I had previously. So it wasn't the worst, like rock bottom moment, I guess, that you would typically say. But it was still a really bad day. And I don't know what it was in that day that made it be my last day, but I think it was a combination of, yes, that was, something was terrible going on, but it was also like the things that I did after it and the different steps that I took to kind of figure out and put in the work and navigate some of the stuff and be like, okay, I've tried long enough to figure this out on my own and I can't do it. So how do I support myself along this journey too?
Your story is so relatable. Seriously, Kristen. So thank you so much again for sharing that. Yeah. Jules, do you have any questions for Kristen?
You've just come so far in, was it 3 years? You've done, you quit drinking and then now you have your following. And how does that feel? Like 3 years isn't very long. And you've come so far. Jamie has too, but it's amazing to me, both of you.
Some days it feels like 3 years and you're like, holy cow, it's been 3 years. And other days it's like, it feels so, other days it feels like so fast and you're like, it's only been 3 years. And so it's, it's like that weird area of time and it's crazy. It's cool. It's cool to look back on and see. It's crazy to look back on and see because they're like looking at my life 3.5 years ago compared to what it is now is night and day difference. And just I think one of the coolest things that can come out of sobriety is just like the relationships that you form. And I think we talk so much about community and the importance of that and bringing that into the fold. But I also think just like your day-to-day relationships, like I look at my relationship with my daughter and how much different that is now and how much like we talk about things. She's 11 and we're getting to that like preteen stage. And I'm just like, she's so open with me and so honest about things. And we just have that relationship that you picture when you're growing up. And with that difficult delivery, I could only have one child and I had to have a full hysterectomy and stuff with her. So I cherish these moments with her because I know that she's my only child. And I know that I was going down a terrible path to the point where like, I don't know. I don't know what my relationship would have looked like. I think that if I wouldn't have turned it around, like it would have been, that last day, I think my husband was very close to getting to the point where he was like, we can't do this anymore. And if he would have walked out, like he could have taken my daughter and I would have had nothing to fight against because I couldn't figure out this alcohol thing. So just looking at those day-to-day relationships too and realizing like how much you can turn those around. It takes work. It takes work to build that trust back. Don't get me wrong. Like, there was a lot of trust broken and a lot of repairs that I had to do and to figure out. But it's amazing what can come from it. And it's amazing when you do put in that work where things can go and what you can get to.
So beautiful what you said. I honestly was like getting choked up just hearing you
Aw.
talk about your daughter because it made me think about Charlotte too, my daughter. So my daughter just turned 5. And
Yeah.
so and when you talked about what's your daughter's name?
Elliot.
Elliot. So when you
Yes.
talked about Elliot when she was 5, she was starting to notice. I was thinking like if I was still drinking, Charlotte would call me out. Like there
Yes.
is no way. She'd be like, "Mom,
Yes.
what's wrong with you?" I mean, the things she says to me now, it's like, Mom, brush your teeth, Mom." Like all these things. "Mom, why is your hair like that?" And yesterday she told me her friends don't like my clothes because they're just very basic. And I was like, "What friends are you?" She was making this up, by the way. But I could just see her, and she would say that now, and she knows now. I talk to her about alcohol because we'll be in the store, and she
Yes.
calls it poison, which I obviously love that. Uh, but like, it's just it makes it like this is our why, right? It's for our
Absolutely.
kids, and I show up like, and obviously you do too, just so much better as a mom and a partner in life. But just being able to like really appreciate those moments, especially when they're younger, it's like we miss out on so much when we're numbing ourselves, when we're constantly in that mental gymnastics of just wanting to drink and you're distracted constantly when you're drinking like that or when, like, and I wasn't a daily drinker either, but I still thought
Yeah.
about it all the time and I would just be so distracted. And don't get me wrong, I have things that come up that make me distracted, but
Absolutely.
but the majority of the time I'm like here and I'm there and I'm just showing them what's possible and and I'm hoping that I'll be able to have that relationship that you have with Elliot where like, it's like opening up to me and they share things with me. It's just so special. I'm just glad that like I'm there and
Right.
I'm going to be able to do that with them because that's why it's all worth it, right? Like yeah, alcohol might have
Absolutely.
been fun here and there, but it's not worth it. Oh, it's not worth any of this.
No, and I think so much of it is just like there were things that you like look back on now and you regret and you are just like, oh, why did I rush through all of those bedtimes and why did I was a weekend binge drinker and I was not a daily drinker either. So there were times when she saw me and I was totally normal. And that's why I think she picked up on it too so much when I was drinking. So just being able to see those things, look back on those things now, and knowing that you not that you get a full redo, but knowing that you can try and have them see the better part of you and see the strong part of you. Just set a good example, just being able to set this example for them now. And we're going to get to those years. Both of us are going to get to those years where they're going to be put in that situation too. And they're going to have friends that drink and they're going to, you know, have to make those decisions on their own. And we have those conversations now and, you know, age appropriate conversations, but she's going to have to make those decisions too. And you just hope that you have showed her enough of like, okay, yes, you may drink, but it's also okay to be the person that doesn't drink either.
Yeah.
And you can still have a great life and you can still have fun and you can still do all of this. And I just think of like what her childhood has been like in the past 3.5 years too. And all of
Yeah.
just the trips and the adventures and the different
Oh.
things that we've done and we've shown her that would have never in a million years happened if we were still drinking. Like she would have, our family bonding, like I said, was going to breweries. And that is what she grew up those first couple of years in breweries. And I hate like that was family bonding because it was like a family friendly thing. And I hate that was like such a big part of her childhood. And that's why I think it's cool, like full circle moment to be able to, show her the other things now and show her different things that she wouldn't have experienced otherwise.
Yes, we did the same with the breweries. We would go Saturday, we'd get there right when they
Yes.
opened at noon, we'd be early in the
Yes.
parking lot and sit there for hours, and then we'd go
Huh?
home and drink more, and that's all it was. It was just like, in the morning, I'd be like, just trying to get through it, just to, make them happy. I just wanted to get to that brewery. It was just like, priorities were completely wrong.
Yes, that is exactly what we did too. And then you'd loosen up a little and then she'd get snacks. And then the amount of brewery t-shirts that we bought, Jake and I are just like the amount of money that we don't spend on crap at the brewery anymore is just
Yes.
like, you find other things to spend on, but the amount of like t-shirts and food
Yeah.
and all the stuff that you spend money on at those
Yes.
breweries. But we were the same way. It was just
Same
like,
way.
it was our family bonding time. And we thought we were doing a great thing by going to a brewery
Same.
and bringing her along.
Yep. Yep. But, and I guess we're both proof that, that life is really freaking amazing without alcohol. It just takes time to get there, but it is so worth it in the end.
I have Well, I just wanted to comment. I'm looking at your relationships with your daughters, and I look at our relationship, how much it's changed in the last year. You both are young, your kids are young, and you've made this alcohol-free journey, and you're spending so much quality time and memories and everything with your kids. And, I look back on many years that I was drinking and thought I was a pretty good mom, but so many, but so many things could have been better, a lot better if I hadn't, realized earlier that I didn't have to have alcohol to function every day or be part of my life. But so I think that's so amazing, because your daughters are young, they're impressionable, they watch everything you do, and now my daughter watches everything I do, and I'm on 70, and she will keep me on track for sure. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. And your mother-daughter relationships, we know we had struggles in the past with our relationship here and there because a lot of it I think was because of drinking too. So anyway, what a great start for these kids and role models and examples. I just think it's amazing.
And you're a great grandma, Jules. And now she just is just so present. The kids are obsessed with Jules. They call her Gigi. And it's been
Aw,
just like a beautiful thing
my
all
wife,
around.
my wife.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to forget a thing. I want to remember every moment with these kids.
It's
Well,
like
and
that
that's the thing too.
Aerosmith song.
All right.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
exactly what I thought of too. I think that's the thing too, is just you get to experience it all and you get to be just being present for it and just being aware of what's going on and picking up on the little things. And I think you're in just a different mindset of not hurrying up to get through the next thing so that you can get your next drink, but taking it in and it's just a different mindset, a different mentality that you go into life with when you're not worried constantly about when the next drink is going to come. And that's just a big shift that happens when
It
you do let it go.
preoccupies your mind and your time, and that you have to fit time in to go get the alcohol, and when you're going to drink it and where you're going to hide if you have to, hide it from your family, or it's like mental gymnastics, I guess, when it
Yeah.
comes to the whole alcohol situation, and isolating and all that. So I feel freed, from all of that.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love that.
me
That's so true.
too.
You guys are doing a great job. I'm proud of both of you.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Jules,
you.
aka
Thank you.
Mom. Well, Kristen, if any of our listeners want to find you, where can we find you?
Yes, I am online on Instagram at Mocktails Marathons. And then mocktailsmarathons.com has different blog posts, things like that, different coaching opportunities. And those are kind of the two places I hang out the most.
Awesome. Well, definitely follow Kristen on Instagram. It is fabulous and honestly just
Thank
so
you.
inspiring. But thank you so much for being here, Kristen.
Thank you.
Just loved having you, and it was so good to catch up with you. And yeah, just appreciate it. So I hope you have
Awesome.
a
I
great
appreciate
day.
you so much. Yeah, for inviting me. It was fun. And Jules, it was so lovely to meet you.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you as well. Thank you.